all these rejections from the middle Bollinger Band.
Resistance we're going to need.
If you actually see here, we get a
And we'll look for a healthy higher
I
low.
would not
don't have
be
the
convinced
full
to enter a long trade.
Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. Sorry I startled everybody at the end of the video yesterday. That honestly wasn't my intention. I didn't think so many people would be startled by it. Just trying to show off my advertising lessons I learned in college. Should be a big winner. Did get the green screen, but at this point it's just more tasks. I need to iron this giant piece of cloth to get it flat, and then I have to worry about the light angles. And it's just something I don't really care to deal with at this point. So I'm going to use it on some other videos, maybe the more educational videos, not the daily updates, because it's a hassle and it takes more time. And I'm already putting more time into these videos every day than I want. So we're going to keep them as they are. So for now, we're going to be looking at Bitcoin Ethereum Litecoin, just a little bit of an update. I did that altcoin video with Nugget's News Alex last night. Check that out. It's on the YouTube channel. We went over 10 coins. He gave some very brief fundamentals. I gave some pretty brief technicals in terms of the daily and the weekly time frame. And if you guys are interested in that, show your love in the video by commenting, and we'll do that more often. So right now, just a little midday quickie update. We saw continuation of the bull flag on Bitcoin on the daily time frame. We knew it was strong. The bulls were showing up and holding up, and now we're getting this follow through. So this puts the bears on their heels a little bit again. And we're looking at the weekly time frames to start it off because, again, we're still looking very solid in this follow through. I said I was looking for potentially a move to the low 8,000 to see a lower high form on the weekly. And at this point, the bulls are just fine, slow and steady, and it gives us a new support level to be utilizing. So if you're looking at a short-term trade on the daily time frame, this is now your stop, 7,200. If we lose that level, you don't want to be in the trade anymore, and you want to patiently wait for a new support level to be established. So the potential to move up stop levels to there, or if you're looking even shorter term, there's 4-hour higher lows to be utilizing. But it's the same scenario where, for me, I do not like bullish entries at these levels on resistance breaks into bull strength, unless you're looking at just a short-term day trade for, $100 or $200 to the upside, because they're not favorable entries. The favorable entries for Bitcoin have been the oversold bounces. Look at the 15-minute RSI hitting 30. And this is what we're talking about with the alert system where, for months it was 4-hour overbought or oversold climaxes that led to huge gains and huge bounces. Now that we have a new market cycle forming, it's the 15-minute RSI hitting 30, not even the volume climaxes. It's just the RSI touching 30 is enough for the bulls to turn things around. Here was the first touch of 30 that we had, and the price went from 73.50s all the way up to the 76.80. So essentially over a $300 move on the first touch. Then we touched it again here at this point. That was down at 72.04, and the price climbed for a couple days all the way up to 75.69, so another $250 move there, or $350 move. And then we just did it again last night. The 15-minute RSI touched 30, and at the low of the candlesticks it was down into the low 20s, but we bounced, we saw follow through and huge opportunity. So buying into weakness at this point is the shift in sentiment has occurred. Remember, for months and months we saw bull spikes in 5-minute bull moves, and then we would fade for hours, giving all of that bull move back with no follow through. We're seeing the opposite. We're seeing the bear spikes. They get the 15-minute RSI to 30, and then we just see slow and steady bull buying for hours following that. So it's a complete shift in the sentiment, and the favorable bull entries are into weakness, buying into the weakness and looking for the oversold bounce. And what it gives you is the opportunity to set your stop loss at break even and let it ride for a bit and see, worst case scenario, you enter 15-minute oversold and we see a lower high and a lower low, and you get stopped out either at break even or very minimal losses. And if you let that trade ride 3 times now in the past few days, it has led to very favorable continuation and profit for those bulls. So where we stand, the 4-hour time frame is forming inside bars. We're going to be looking for a break very shortly. The bulls are still very much in control, very healthy consolidation. So the inside bar range is 76.72 to 77.45 that we're watching. If we see a bear break, anything above 73.28 keeps a 4-hour higher low. If we see a bull break, we're looking up towards 8,000 psychological resistance. So we didn't see a ton of follow through on the break of 76.87. We made it up about $100 or so, $90. And the reason for that is because it was a V-shaped recovery. And look at how extended this hourly time frame was by the time we broke that resistance already. So we were already a little overbought. The daily RSI right now is about to break 70, potentially for the first time since those all-time highs. So that is very notable as well. Again, a clear sentiment shift if we're seeing the RSI get up to these levels. We do have the resistance of 77.77. We only broke that by a few dollars. That is still a double top at this point. The bulls need another leg up for a clear break over this level. So all in all, the Bitcoin bulls remain in full control. The altcoin video yesterday showed that the vast majority of coins, we looked at 10 different coins, only 2 of them stood out as bullish paired with BTC. Everybody else paired to BTC was showing a lot of weakness, and some of them were in all-out dump mode as Bitcoin is still maintaining its strength and dominance on this current move. So we have some nice new support levels to be watching. The bulls are remaining in control. Personally, I've been trading Canadian MJ significantly the past few days and more significantly today. So I'm not trading Bitcoin. I'm sitting in my swing position still, and now I'm moving up my stop to reflect the 7,200 level, and I will ideally be able to move that up even higher later in this week. And I'm just going to continue riding this play because I have no FOMO. I see the bull move and I don't think, oh man, I should have entered more. I think I still got my position and I'm still profiting. That's great. So again, cannot stress enough how crucial this no FOMO position has been for me in terms of just clarity and being nice and simple and not trying to overcomplicate things. If I were at my computer during a 15-minute oversold dump, I could look to enter a greater position, either add to my swing and average up into the strength, or just look to flip it for $100 to $200 in the short term. But I haven't been in my computer, and I'm not just going to be sitting and waiting for those moves because things are going really well, and I'm doing it from a little bit more of a passive perspective, which I certainly haven't done in the crypto space yet, and I'm just shifting my strategy. So becoming more of a focus on swing trading in this current setup and less of a day trading scalping setup, which I am normally doing. That's where we stand on Bitcoin. Where does Ethereum stand compared to Bitcoin? Look at the weekly chart. Very, very weak. There is nothing that the bulls are proving on this weekly chart right now. So that's a red flag. And we look at the daily chart. We didn't even break the high of Sunday, and here we are at the low of the day. And we look at Bitcoin. The high of Sunday was 75.70, and we broke $200 above that level. So again, just day after day, we're getting very clear signals that Ethereum is much weaker than Bitcoin. At this point, the range on Ethereum that we're watching is 441 support and 471.74 resistance. This little 3-4 day range right here. The bears still have momentum. Look at the 4-hour time frame. We just broke. We're about to break support actually, 454.55. A weak bounce attempt and fading back down now. So again, it remains the same. I would be looking to play Bitcoin bullish, Ethereum bearish. If Bitcoin breaks support and starts to consolidate more significantly, Ethereum's probably going to head back down to that 441 level, and we could be looking at a bear break. Litecoin on the weekly time frame is the same thing. Very weak bounce attempt. It's slightly more bullish than Ethereum, but that's not saying much at this point. You can see the daily chart did break the high of Sunday. There's just no follow through there, and we're nowhere near breaking the high of the initial bounce. So just looking back in hindsight, we see the bulls of Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin all broke bullish in a very meaningful way in mid-July, and now it's the profit taking that separates them. It wasn't the lack of a bull move initially. Everybody made a solid bull move. It's the amount of profit taking. So Bitcoin is seeing much less profit taking than both Ethereum and Litecoin and pretty much everybody else in this space right now. So resistance is 85.91, and we are looking at support down at 79.47, and we're stuck within this range, similar to what we're seeing on Ethereum's range, just a little bit stronger. If we get the bull break, we're looking up at the top of the bounce. But at that point, if we're going to get a bull break, unless there's news specific to Ethereum or Litecoin, I would just be assuming Bitcoin's heading up to 8,000 if we're seeing these bulls try and make their way back to the high of the previous bounce. So my game plan is rock solid in terms of not changing it or swaying it at any point. And I'm just going to patiently wait and watch this move continue to play out nice and slow and steady for these bulls. No red flags. There's been absolutely zero stress in this play. Having this smaller swing position, my account is not all in, or I would be having to, manage it a lot more significantly. But I'm liking this no stress, more hands-off way of doing things while I focus on other things. So that's where we stand as we head into tomorrow. And we'll do a more in-depth video once we get a change in sentiment. But right now, it's nice and steady the past few days, and we're just looking for a continuation. Let's just check in on Bitcoin USD and the shorts chart. And the shorts are picking up here, trying to top out Bitcoin and see a bear break of those 4-hour inside bars. But overall, this shorts chart isn't really telling me a whole lot. I can see the shorts aren't extremely high. We also haven't seen a ton of covering, so I'm not really getting a whole bunch of information by looking at this chart, but it's something worthwhile to check into every now and again. Also, same thing with GBTC. Always worth checking in to see where we stand with GBTC. And it is notable that today we are not seeing a higher high. So that's telling us that GBTC, the premium, bulls are not willing to pay as much. So we saw the high of last week, and Bitcoin obviously broke the high of last week, but GBTC has not broken the high of this week. So that's worth noting. I'll be watching to see if we get a 4-hour tightening pattern, and this equilibrium could be the case. And always going to be keeping one eye on GBTC for any potential clues. And we could see at the end of Friday, the bulls weren't really closing strong. So that tells me that they're not really anticipating a lot of follow through over the weekend. And again, just little clues on how much people are willing to pay in premium for GBTC. Because again, the holdings that Bitcoin has, or that GBTC has of Bitcoins, if you were to do the math, it is trading at a premium. And the greater that premium gets, that means the more FOMO there is in the stock world for people wanting a piece of Bitcoin. And right now that's cooling off a little bit. It was high last week, and it's now cooling off this week. So that's where we stand. I appreciate you all continuing to watch. Certainly got a lot of comments in the last video due to my shirtless entry from the back of the chart. And we're going to continue to do good things out there. Was able to help some friends with their stock accounts with some MJ bounces this morning. That felt good. And we'll take it from there. Keep on keeping on. I appreciate you all.